Welcome into All Things LA Real Estate. My name is PK Knoll. I am running point on this channel. We are heading out to Eagle Rock for your November real estate update. One of the most desirable neighborhoods on the east side. Lovely place, great schools, good on crime, good commercial areas. We're going to break down everything you need to know when it comes to the real estate game. We'll get into the current statistics. We'll do some month over month. We'll talk about some year over year statistics. End of the video, we're going to do homes that have caught my eye, where I try and find you some value in the neighborhood. Let's go. As we jump out into Eagle Rock, we're going to take a look at the current statistics in the neighborhood, where we currently have 19 homes available for sale. Of those 19 available for sale, 4 have seen price drops, so about 21%. That is very commonplace. We are seeing 20% price drops consistently across every neighborhood on the east side. It's just the reality of the real estate industry right now. That's normally not the case, to see so many price drops in the 20, 30 percentile range, but the affordability is at a low right now. We do have some positive mentality towards things coming down. We've seen inflation drop down to 3.2%. Jerome Powell did pause rates last time out. We got one more visit with him before the end of the year. So there is some sentiment that as we move into next year, we could see some positive momentum, start to see possibly some rate cuts, but it still could be some time on that. And in the meantime, these people who are trying to sell their home really are in a situation where they're sitting for a long time because we just don't have enough buyers out in the market, even though inventory is so low. The minimum price to get in the neighborhood right now, $649,900. That is laughable. Wait till you hear about this house. If you're somebody who follows along month after month, it's going to be a house that's very familiar to us. Same thing on the top end. The maximum price in the neighborhood right now is $2.995 million. Another home that's very familiar. We're going to talk about both of those homes near the end of the video and homes that have caught my eye. Our average price for homes available for sale, very consistent number out in Eagle Rock. Right now it's at $1.665415. We see that number consistently in the $1.6 million range. And what I love from a statistical standpoint is consistencies in the data, because it gives us good information as we progress forward. Is the neighborhood appreciating? Different things in that regard. So when we get consistent numbers after a month over month basis, it gives us a good data point to kind of play off of as we move into the new year. Every winter is going to be slow. This winter is going to be especially slow, but we're going to continue at it and get you the numbers. Days on market is at 33, which is one of the lowest on the east side. Typically, what we look for when it comes to the days on market is 60 days. 60 days is kind of that golden time frame where sellers start to get impatient, right? Because if you decide, hey, we need to sell our home because we're relocating for a job, I want to get my kid into a different school, we need to upgrade, we're having another kid. No one has the intention of sitting for 2 months trying to sell their home, and that's when more price drops come. But Eagle Rock's actually in a pretty good spot for the 19 homes that are available. If we look quickly into November of 2022, we had 18 homes sell at 111% clip, meaning 11% on average above the list price. So it was a pretty healthy November of 22, all things considered, and 11% over the list price is actually very high, meaning if a home is listed, it's typically selling on average 11% above that list price. So if a home is listed essentially for $1 million, on average, it's selling for 1.10. So something to keep in mind. That's more relevant when we look at current statistics, which we're going to do now, last month. As you look at real estate statistics, if you look at any kind of data points when it comes to any type of market, obviously a long-term projections paint a bigger picture. But if you're watching this video and you're somebody who's currently thinking about getting in the market or currently searching in the market, what's going to be most relevant to you is what's most recent. So that's why we always go over in these monthly updates what happened last month, because it's going to give you a strong perspective as far as what you can anticipate in your search. Also, some good information for current homeowners, give you some insight as far as where the market's at, is my home appreciating, things like that. So last month in October, we had 18 sales in Eagle Rock at 107% clip. So 7% on average above that list price. And that 7% number is something that's been very consistent in Eagle Rock as well. We've seen 6, 8, now we're at 7. So what that tells me is, in a typical instance, Eagle Rock homes are still popular. They're still going over the list price. And I know from a buyer's perspective, just from a generality standpoint, is when I see a home that's listed, I'm probably going to have to come in. If it's an attractive home, especially if it's a home that just hit the market, that's getting some attention, I'm going to probably have to make an offer that is 7% above that list price. So it's just a generic kind of guide towards that progress. And obviously every home sale is unique, but it gives you kind of instance. It's also a good metric if you're a homeowner to kind of keep your eye on. It's one of the things that can be a data point to actually tell you if you're getting appreciation on your home. Now, in Los Angeles, homes obviously consistently get appreciation year over year, especially decade over decade. So it's not something to worry about too inherently if you're, somebody who's sticking around for a while, but it's a number to kind of keep your eye on if you are thinking about selling here, in next year or the years following. Minimum price sold last month was 180,000, which is unbelievable. It was a land sale, so there was 5 of them. So there was 5 land availabilities in the same neighborhood. They all got sold for 180K. It was an off-market deal. You're not getting anything for 180K in Los Angeles anywhere. So it's a complete outlier. It's going to mess up some of our data points. I'll talk about that right now. But basically, it was kind of it's not really relevant to me and you, somebody who's actually tracking the essential market of what things are going. The top end, we did have a sale for 1.855. That thing sold for 60K above the list price. So it's listed for 1.795. It sold for 1.855. So just a couple percentage points above the list price there. So beautiful home. Not seeing the $2 million plus home sell in Eagle Rock for a couple months now. We're going to talk about that more in the next segment as well. Our average home sale price was $873,595. Now, we are normally at 1.3 million in Eagle Rock, but obviously when you have 5 sales out of 18 that were 180K, that brings our number drastically down. So if we took those out of the equation and we just looked at the 13 other homes that sold, our average for the month was 1.140. So still about, 150K below where we normally see things in Eagle Rock. So it was a slow month in that kind of instance, but that's something we see entirely throughout the east side of Los Angeles. If you follow along with any of these monthly updates, we do every neighborhood on the east side: Silver Lake, Mount Washington, Pasadena, San Gabriel, the whole works. But what we are seeing right now, because of where rates are currently around 7.5% is the average, you're just not going to get anybody who can afford to finance on the top end. So those top end homes, those 1.5s, those 2 million, those $3 million homes throughout the east side, they are just basically only trying to attract cash buyers because those are the only ones who can afford. So we're getting a lot of our transactions on the lower side, and we're seeing that reflective in the Eagle Rock data and a lot of the data for a lot of east side neighborhoods. There's neighborhoods like La Cañada. We do updates on La Cañada. It's like a $4 million average as far as the homes go up there, and there are a lot of homes sitting for a long time. They have like 90 days on market, 100 days on market. We're just not seeing sales in that kind of realm as far as the dollar amounts go for that. Days on market for the homes that sold was 11. Nothing to worry about those. Those land sales will essentially be 1 day on market, off the market. It was, like I said, it was an off-market deal. So that brings the number down a little bit, probably closer to 18 to 20 if we just looked at the 13 kind of regular single-family residents. We take a quick peek into October of 2022. We had 17 homes sell, 103% clip. So on average, 3% over that list price. So we actually had a slight bump in November, and we actually had a slight bump year over year compared to 2022. Now, obviously, the end of 2022 was not a hot real estate market from a generalist perspective either, but any type of increase year over year, we are happy with. There are a ton of neighborhoods that are seeing 20 and 30% declines year over year. So we'll see if they can kind of keep that trend up out in Eagle Rock when we kind of feed back to things in December next month. But let's jump over to homes that have caught my eye, see if we can find some value in the neighborhood. Homes that have caught my eye. For those of you who are new here, here's what we do. First thing, we're going to break down the entry-level position. What's the minimum price to get in the neighborhood? It gives you some insight if you're somebody who's dying to live in Eagle Rock, you want to get your kid in that school, you want to live in that neighborhood, but you can't really afford the average home price of what's typically like 1.3 million. So we let you know what the entry level looks like. We'll give you some statistics there. We'll also talk about PK's top pick. Going to be a value play. I always look at the numbers. I want the numbers to feed me the home and tell me exactly what's going on. And it's specifically important right now because you need to find a home. If you're going to purchase right now, especially if you're somebody who's financing, you need to find a home that has strong potential to appreciate because it'll help avoid a lot of discomfort and things that could possibly go wrong. And that is most of what my job is mitigating risk for my clients and making those educated decisions. So that's what you're going to get out of PK's top pick. Then we're going to look at the top dog. What's the ceiling look like in the neighborhood? It's a good kind of focal point to have an understanding of where the neighborhood's going. And it's always nice to take a look at some of the big dogs in the neighborhood as well. We do not repeat, so I'm not going to repeat as far as my full breakdowns on homes when it comes to any of the three categories. We'll do a quick recap of those, but let's give you an example right now as we jump directly in to our entry-level position. So a little bit of housekeeping. The September home, 6006 eucalyptus. It's the lowest in Eagle Rock right now. We only have 2 homes under $1 million. This one's 649, drastically lower, 300K lower than the next lowest in the neighborhood. That was that hoarder's house in September. It was under contract last month, and we were shocked. We could not believe that somebody had put an offer on this home. It was in terrible shape. It went from pending back to active, and they lowered the price because originally listed for $670. They got an offer apparently accepted, and things fell out. I'm sure there's issues with the home, but if you're interested in that one, you want to see what $650 to get in the neighborhood looks like, go back to the September real estate update, Eagle Rock. Look for entry-level position. You can get a full rundown on that home. October's home was 4427 Alumni Avenue. That was that home for $960K. It's the only other home under $1 million in Eagle Rock right now. That home is still active, and we like this home, right? It was rebuilt in 2019, which is a huge attraction point for any home in Los Angeles. Most homes in Los Angeles are built in the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s. So you get a home that's built in 2019. That is a huge benefit, right? Because anytime anybody who's ever owned a home will tell you things are going to go wrong. Your roof, your sub pump, the plumbing underneath. There's tons of things that are going wrong. Almost all of them are going to cost you 5 figures. But when you buy a house that was built in 2019, you mitigate a lot of kind of the risk assessed with buying a home that is much older. But we expected this one to go. They're just probably not getting the offers right now. I assume maybe they listed 960 with the intent of getting over $1 million. But we're going to be interested, and we'll keep our eye on that. I'll keep you updated next month. But we're going to move to the next tier. So it's technically the third lowest in the neighborhood right now, and it's jumping us up above $1 million. It's 4631 Loletta Avenue. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,150 square feet. It's listed for 1.035. So just a smidge over the $1 million mark here. $900 per square foot, a little bit higher than we'd like. Typically, when we get into that $1 million range in the nicer neighborhoods, I want it between $500 and $800 per square foot to kind of get that bang for the buck. But 900 is not terrible. Eagle Rock's very desirable. This is the first time this home is being sold in 60 years. So the person who bought it 60 years ago probably bought it for about 55K if you want to feel bad about things. But first time in 60 years, that's a good sign. That's something that I like because essentially that person probably wouldn't have lived there for 60 years if there was major issues in the distinct neighborhood, right? You're not going to live next to, in somewhere that has crime or, is loud or, trains going by or something to that regard, something outside that would affect you. So that's kind of a good side. The lot is huge, 9339. We love a good lot. Very tough to get in Los Angeles in general. Typically $1 million homes are around 4,000 as far as the lot. So we're getting more than double that. Interior needs some work. If you've been a renter in Los Angeles, it really looks like any LA rental in the history of time. It's got a little yard, but I like as well. But it could use some modernization as far as the updating go. As far as some comps, just to give you some insight there was a 3.2 1225 that sold right in that neighborhood. So 1 extra bathroom, about 75 more square feet. It sold for 1.122. So it did sell for around a little less than 100K more than we're listed at here. It was much nicer than our home, so not a ton of wiggle room from a comparative market analysis perspective on this home. But I think if you maybe get it right around the list price, it could be a good starter home somewhere you live 7, 10, 12 years. And, every year you put a little money aside, take on a new project and slowly update it over time. Probably a safer bet with Eagle Rock as a strong prospective neighborhood just in general. But let's jump over to PK's top pick. See what we got as far as value goes in the neighborhood. Housekeeping, September's real estate update, 5012 Ontario. That was that $1.2 million house. We talked about it last month. It was pending. I told you I would follow up with it. It is sold, so that one is off the market. Good for those home sellers. October's PK's top pick was 4830 Lock Haven Avenue. It was the one listed for just under 1.4 at 1.399888. That one has a pending sale right now. Completely updated. That was the one with the huge lot. I will keep you updated next month. I always like to follow up because we saw this on the entry level side, but we have tons of homes that are getting under contract or pending, and then they're getting lost in escrow and things are falling out. We have a record number of that happening. So we always want to kind of continue to follow up. But we're giving you value, right? These homes are not lasting more than a month. And that's kind of what I look for when it comes to PK's top picks. I assume I'm not the only realtor in the game, obviously looking for value. So this month, 4725 and a half West College View Avenue. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1926 square feet, listed for just under 1.4 as well at 1.399, 999, just at $100K price drop. So they had it at 1.499, just at $100K price drop. Normal real estate market, $100K price drop is a huge red flag. I mean, it was at best case scenario, it was just mispriced. Most likely there's something wrong with the home. They're not getting the attraction, but that is not the reality of where we live right now. The reality of where we live right now is there's not enough buyers and they've been sitting for a while. The home sellers are over it. They drop at $100K because for a lot of perspectives, it's the only tool they have to try and entice selling their home, unless their real estate agent's going to go out of their way to do kind of different means of marketing, which most don't. $726 per square foot. We love that. We just talked about that, especially when you get up closer to 1.4. That per square footage number tends to escalate. So we're still at 726. So you're getting great bang for your buck there. Nice size lot here as well. 9786. Gorgeous home. Completely updated. Beautiful spot. And they mentioned right in the description of this home that it's a motivated seller. So they, maybe they had a job relocation or something, but they're ready to move off this house. They are not willing to sit any longer. They've obviously, lowered the price 100K, which shows motivation, but to put it in the description kind of loses a little bit of leverage you would have from a negotiation standpoint if you were the selling agent of this home, but they're over it and they're ready to move on. One of the most attractive things is some of the comps we see right in this distinct neighborhood. And obviously that's something that drives PK's top picks in general. But we have a 3-2 1392 that sold for 1.490. So a little bit smaller, at one less bedroom, one less bathroom, 600 square feet less, and it's actually sold for about 100K more than we're listed at right now, which is probably the price point when they did their market analysis of why they priced their home originally at 1.499. So that shows you the value that it is out there when, things get a little bit calmer. We see some rate reduction in the market, which, will obviously come at some point. When that happens, no one knows. Anyone who tells you different is lying. But hopefully by mid to end of next year, we get a little bit of relief and things can kind of settle in. We also had a 2-1 1070 on College View, so right down the street from this home, that also sold for 1.467. So it's got half the bedrooms, 2 less bathrooms, 900 plus square feet less, and it sold for more than we're listed at right now. That home was probably overpaid for because it was listed for 1.249. I'd give it 1.3 at best. Somebody loved the home. They wanted to make the move. So they probably overpaid, but it's still a good insight to know that a home half the size is selling for more than we're going to pay for this home, right? Now, in a normal perspective, I'm going to look at this home and I'm going to anticipate a 7% over the list price, but this home is obviously not getting any attraction from buyers. So if you can get in quick, you might be able to get a great deal. So definitely check out the home here on College View. Let's finish things off with the top dog in the neighborhood. I got to talk about 5217 Dahlia Drive from September. First off, it's the top dog in the neighborhood. It's the $2.995 million home on the market. We've only had one sale in Eagle Rock history over 2.9. That home was brand new, fully updated, beautiful. The home we're dealing with on Dahlia is not. So we anticipated there could be some holding time here. They haven't done any price reductions just yet. I anticipate that's coming soon, unless it's a hard number for them, right? Sometimes people will list their home with the anticipation like, we're not selling for less than this. And if offers come in, they better be at this price or we're not selling. We can sit on this. We have no problem sitting on this for a longer duration. So we'll keep our eye on that one. Keep you updated come December. October's top dog, 4861 Wyoto Street. We want one tier down. That was that $2.625 million home. Once again, still active. That was the one with like the 11-foot ceilings. It was a beautiful home, but in that distinct neighborhood, there was only one sale over 2 million. So this would be a record setter for the neighborhood there in Eagle Rock. So like I mentioned, in last month's section, just a section ago here, we're just having a harder time when you get to the higher points because you're just in a position where it's cash buyers or bust for the most part, right? Because you're not going to go in and spend $3 million and finance it at 7.5% interest rate. If you're in that kind of ballpark to purchase a home, you're probably just going to, pull equities and do what you got to do and buy it in cash and avoid, paying 7.5% interest rate, which will end up, costing you about 160% in interest over a 30-year mortgage. So let's move down to the next tier home here. 4523 Alumni Avenue. It's a 6-bedroom, 4-bath. It's 3133 square feet. It's listed for 2.7 million. Interesting situation here. First of all, 861 per square foot. We love that. When you get updated, beautiful homes, and this thing is pristine, interior and exterior, you can see it. When you get those very nice homes, you typically will see 1,000, 1,100 plus per square foot. So we like the 861. 7505 is the lot size, so decent size there. But this is a double premises, so double residency. So it's actually 2 homes. So it's probably an investment property, maybe a property where you can kind of come in and live in one and rent out the other. But 2 properties, both are 3.2, a smidge over 1,500. So regular, decent sized homes, which you expect. The seller is also offering a $50K credit to the buyer. So that shows motivation from the seller's perspective. I assume this was some type of flipper, some type of investor who built these homes. And, by the time they got done with the deal, they were in November 2023 real estate market with 7.5% interest rates. And they're like, shoot. So they're offering a $50K credit. You can use that to buy down your interest rate with points. You can use that to pay off the closing costs, whatever you would like. But they've also shown their hand in that regard. But I want to give you a little bit of a breakdown of what it would look like. Let's say you're not living in it, right? Let's say you're not going to live in it. You're going to purchase this home and you are going to do it by financing it and you are going to rent it out. What does that look like? I don't advise doing that if you've never done that before. Now is not the time for that. But let's break it down so you can see what it statistically would look like in regards to that. So let's say you get a 30-year mortgage on this home. Let's assume you get it right at the list price, 2.7, 7.5% interest rate. I'm just obviously interest rates vary by individual. By the time you watch it, hopefully rates are down a little bit, but we're going to go off 7.5 because that's basically the national average currently. And let's assume you put 20% down. I'm a big proponent for always putting 20% down on your home. I don't think if you can't put anything down on your home, you're probably not in a position to purchase that home. Obviously, there's different scenarios, but that's just kind of the general consensus of what I do. The client is always right. So if you're in a position where you want to buy and you're okay going FHA and putting 5% or even 0% with some of these crazy loans, fine. But for this scenario, we're going to use my normal scenario, which is 20% down, which is about $540K, which would be 20% of 2.7, which means your loan would be 2.16. What does that look like from a monthly perspective? With a 7.5% interest rate, it is a $15,103 monthly payment. So $15,000 a month plus. That does not include property taxes. Property taxes are getting higher and they're always going to get higher. Make sure you're prepared for that. We're talking 12, 14, 15 grand a year. That also does not include insurance. So keep that in mind as we run through the rest of these numbers. But realistically, if you were to rent this out, what could you get in Eagle Rock for a 3-2 1500, right? Because it's two separate spots. That's you're gonna rent both of them, 3-2 1500. Best case scenario is probably $7,000. There's a nice rental just down the street, maybe a little bit nicer than these. I mean, these are pristine, right? They're brand new. They're very nice. I like that one a little bit better, just better, a little bit I feel, but probably the same category generally. But it's a 2-2 1292, and they're renting it out right now for $64.95. So it's a little bit smaller on the square footage, a little over 200 square feet less, one less bedroom, listing it for $64.95. That's probably a little aggressive. Realistically, 5,500 is probably where you're going to kind of come in with this sale. But assuming you could get 6,500, now we're talking about 13 grand a month coming in. So it's only going to cost you, maybe 4 or 5, $6,000 a month on top of that to kind of take this deal down. So, like I mentioned, if you've never done that before, if you're thinking about getting into investment properties, now is probably not the time to do that. If you're somebody who's has experience doing it, you have other equities to kind of leverage. There might be a deal here. Eagle Rock's going to go up long term in property value. That's pretty much a given. Beautiful home here. The numbers are solid. Good square footage. Good lot size. So it checks a lot of boxes. So we'll keep you updated next month and see if any investors jump on this one. Thank you so much for watching the video. We do this every single month for almost every neighborhood on the east side. We're doing Pasadena, Silver Lake, Eagle Rock, Highland Park, Glendale, La Cañada, El Sereno, Cypress Park. The list goes on and on. So like and subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined. If you're somebody who's looking to purchase a home on the east side of Los Angeles or sell your home, I am happy to help out with you. Reach out to me. You can send me a direct message online, or all of my phone numbers are listed. Even if you're somebody who's hesitant with 7% interest rates, that puts us in the same boat. It always helps to start preparing for future opportunities because you don't want to miss the boat there. We will tread lightly. We will look for value, and we will get it done. I also do a ton of other videos. I get into the schools. I get into, the restaurants in the neighborhood. I get into the attractions in the neighborhood. I do some other fun videos like quick cribs. So once again, like and subscribe if you are so inclined. Have a great day. Be kind. Yeah.